Oh, the horn is a little Mr. Bean. Can you hear that? I'm about to take a test drive of this, the Hycan Z03, so stay tuned. This is China Driven. Okay, so we're going for a test drive in the Hycan Z03. It is raining again. It's going to be raining all the way up to Chinese New Year. In fact, it's going to snow supposedly quite heavily. So do bear that in mind.
这个雨刷它是自动的，
是吧？
这个雨刷
哦，也是动的吗？
也是自动的，可以调。
So with that useful little tidbit, let's get on.
Okay, so even though this is the lower version of the Z03 and it has 184 horsepower versus 217 horsepower, it still has that same 255 newton meters of torque. And the stat that Hycan likes to tell its customers is it's 0 to 50 kilometers an hour sprint, or 0 to 31 miles an hour, and that is done in 3.5 seconds on all models. And that's quite useful in the city centre. You know, that kind of going from nothing to 30 miles an hour, 3.5 seconds is fast enough for almost all situations. In fact, all situations. There's no real need to be going faster than that in the city centre, especially not one so crowded like in China. As you can see, cars everywhere. Okay, so this Hycan Z03 comes with 4 modes: Eco, Normal, Sport and iPedal. iPedal is kind of like extreme eco mode. It will reduce your top speed in order to help you conserve battery, to help you get to somewhere to recharge. Currently we're in sport mode. Okay, so the Hycan Z03 can come with what they call Hycan Pilot, which is their ADAS function. It's a level 2 system. It doesn't come standard on the base model. You have to add that as an option. But if you do, then you can have that ADS function, and it's like any other level 2 system. As long as it can see the lines, it will do a bit of steering adjustment and keep its distance with the car in front, you know, accelerating and decelerating as is needed. Of course, with all those kind of systems, you know, they're not autonomous, fully autonomous. You have to keep an eye on it. But it's an option that you can get if that's what you want. On the higher trim models, it comes as a standard function. Okay, so we've driven a little bit outside of the city. We're still traveling to where we're going to do a little bit of driving and talking about this car. It's still raining outside. There's still too many cars about, so we'll keep going.
With 2 Hycan employees in tow, I drove out of the city looking for a quiet area to drive about and talk about the car. Finally, the cars disappeared and we were ready to try out the 0 to 50.
0 to 50, 3.5 seconds. Let's see how it does. It's a bit wet outside, so I expect some wheel spin. Here we go. That's 50. Okay, so it did that without any kind of fuss. So that was fast. I mean, you know, we're way in front of everybody else there. 3.5 seconds to 50 is more than enough. You didn't wheel spin, you just pulled. There's a bit of delay. It was on auto hold, and there was a bit of a delay from when I pushed the accelerator until it started moving. But once it started moving, it just kept pulling. Now let's find somewhere and we'll do its 0 to 100 dash. Okay, 0 to 100. Let's go again. Hopefully it's clear. 3, 2, 1. Okay, there we go. That's 50. Okay, that's 100. I mean, yeah, it's nippy. I mean, 8 seconds isn't going to blow anybody's mind, but again, this is not in the same price range as those cars that do, you know, sub 4 seconds or sub 3 seconds. But 8 seconds, you know, for a car this size is more than respectable. Okay, 0 to 50 and then back down to 0. Here we go. Okay, that's 50. Okay, We didn't even make it across the junction. That's how quickly it gets up to 50. That was, and it stopped quite quickly.
With it being so wet outside, we left it there and moved on.
Noise levels in here, again, you know, it's raining. As I said with the Good Cat, it's a bit unfair because water splashed up in the wheel arches. There is some wind noise that you will hear when going over a certain speed. Now the higher trim models have acoustic glass for their windscreen. These lower models don't have that, so the noise insulation may be better in those higher models. Overall, the ride comfort is good. You know, it's 55 sidewall tires. They absorb a lot of the bumps and thumps, so you know it's more than comfortable in here. But that's to be expected with Chinese cars. That's what Chinese consumers are always after. That and loads of rear space, which this car has in gobs. If you haven't seen it, go check out our quick look at this car, and we'll show you the interior and all the bits and bobs about this car. So I mean, we're doing about 70 kilometers an hour around this corner. Everything seems very fine, stable, good. Body rolls a little bit, but you know, that's all about comfort, but it holds the road well enough. I mean, obviously in no way is this a sports car. This is an MVP kind of family car, and it does that job well. Loads of space, comfortable, and because it's an EV, it's got a bit of get up and go to it. Look, there we go, like, you know, a bit of wheel spin, it being wet and whatnot, but it's not a handful, you know, even when it loses traction. Yeah, it's very controllable. Okay, so let's play around the modes. There's 4 modes here. We're starting in normal mode. When you click normal mode, everything's in a lovely blue shade. The brake regen isn't intrusive. Pushing the accelerator, you get power. And then if we go to the sport mode, that power comes faster for less accelerator pedal travel, and the brake regen is obviously on its lowest setting. Now I'm just going to quickly do a U-turn here, and then we will then change mode into iPedal. Now iPedal is what Hycan basically call extreme eco mode. So it's got really high regenerative braking, and you need to push the pedal a lot in order to get the speed out of it. So if I'm traveling along in sport mode now and I just switch on iPedal, then straight away the car starts slowing down because I need to push that accelerator more to maintain speed or get speed. I'm doing 50 right now, and I'm going to take my foot off the accelerator pedal, and just from brake regen, okay, it stopped pretty quickly. Now eco mode, the brake regen isn't quite as much. It is still there, but it's kind of like a medium. And again, you need to press the accelerator pedal more than in normal or sport mode to get some kind of power or speed up. Normal mode is, you know, it's the easiest to work with. Sport is where it's at if you want nice, easy speed and acceleration. As far as handling goes, I mean, it's fine. The steering wheel is light. This is in its heaviest setting, sport mode setting, but it's still a very light steering wheel. That means that, yes, if you go into light mode, it is extremely light. But in China, it seems to be a thing across a lot of cars, this kind of light steering. It makes it a doddle in kind of low speed conditions like car parks. But on the road, I mean, I prefer it to be a little bit heavier. Obviously, it's all electric. It does the job. It goes around corners fine. It rides over rough stuff fine. Everything is muted, so you don't really feel a lot of these bad road imperfections. And of course, it's an MPV. It's a family car. There's big space in the back for people to travel. It is not in any way a race car. It doesn't handle like one. It's not trying to. But if you drive it as intended, it does exactly what you would think it would do. So in here on the left hand side of this instrument panel, you can control it to cycle through some menus. So you've kind of got like car functions and warnings, battery information, and like the EV's general information, stuff like consumption, how much range you've got, which is always displayed at the bottom there, as well as your trip information as well. And lastly, it's kind of like a graph showing your energy consumption over time.
So with all that said and done, and being quite far from the city centre, it was time to drive back and finish the test drive. The traffic began building up as rush hour was fast approaching.
So when the Z03 was launched or unveiled in the Shanghai Auto Show last year in 2021, there's kind of like a special edition. They did a partnership between themselves and a gaming team called EDG, or Edward Gaming, who are an LOL Chinese gaming team, and you can get the Edward edition, and it's like bright luminous green, and it's like a top trim model. So I've been driving this out of the city and back again. We've been driving maybe for about an hour, and I have to say, after an hour of driving it, you know, it's very comfortable to drive, very easy to drive. Even though the windscreen and the nose is quite a way off from you, you get used to it pretty quickly. There's great visibility. It feels like windows everywhere in here, and that just adds to the sense of airiness of this car. Okay, so we're just finishing the test drive here. We're going back into the car park where the dealership is. And overall, I mean, this car, great visibility when you're driving, except for that rear windscreen. It doesn't have a window wiper, but all the way around elsewhere, great visibility. Comfort wise, yeah, deals with rough road, fine. Enough acceleration for the average person pottering around town. Easy to drive. Not really much more I can say about this. Okay, so that's the end of the test drive of the Hycan Z03. I hope you enjoyed it, and this has been China Driven.